Hi, if you don't like video guides and prefer reading, all of this information is in a text post linked in the description. Anyway, let's get to it. Your goal when fighting Odin isn't just to reduce his HP to 0, you also have to keep him entertained. If Odin finds you exciting to fight, he will cast Sleipnir's Furor, become pressured, and apply attack buffs and defense debuffs on himself. His attack animations will also become much faster. If Odin finds you boring, he will cast Zantetsuken, which is a cutscene attack that always deals the damage cap to you and kills you. The way this concept is implemented in the game is that Odin has an invisible mood gauge. When the fight begins, the mood gauge starts half full and slowly decreases over time. Think of it like a Souls game status effect gauge. If you take damage from Odin, even blocked damage, the mood gauge goes down. There are 3 main ways of making his mood gauge go up. Dealing a lot of damage is the simplest way. Hitting him with ATB abilities gives an extra boost to the gauge on top of the damage dealt. Casting a status effect on him gives a very big boost to the gauge. If you look at his assess, it says he has lesser resistances to all the debuffs and greater resistance to poison. This does not mean you cannot use them. Normally, status effects can be applied 3 times on an enemy before they become immune to it. Lesser resistance means they can be applied twice. Greater resistance means it can only be applied once. There is no luck involved in applying status effects in this game. When Odin's mood gauge gets very low, he will cast Galanhorn's Warning. This does not mean you failed. It just means that the gauge is low and you will cast Zantetsuken if you do not act soon. You can still recover from that position. Just do not get hit and keep attacking him. Now, while the whole mood gauge mechanic is vaguely hinted at in the assess information, there is another mechanic that the game does not tell you about, and is likely going to be the source of much frustration. Odin can bind your characters. If you get hit by a charged attack, Odin places red handcuffs on your character's wrists. This happens even if you perfect block the attack. When your character is wearing these handcuffs, if you target Odin with any ATB command, Odin will instantly do Reprisal. Reprisal comes out so fast it will hit you during your ATB animation and will likely interrupt you. There are several ways to deal with this. One, simply switch to a different character. The bindings will go away after a little while. Some characters can pressure Odin on their own with non-ATB damage. Cloud's Punisher Parry, for example, can pressure Odin on its own provided you actually do the perfect parries and don't just hold the button. Tifa's triangle moves do a lot of damage, and using Unbridled Strength to power her up does not trigger Reprisal. Katshi's Less Ride ability does not technically target Odin, and you can easily pressure him by spamming it. There are also ways to attack through Reprisal. Before I explain how, I need to mention that there are several Reprisal animations. If you are in melee range, Odin will do a melee reprisal, which makes him jump away from you and gives him iframes. If you are far away from Odin, he will either throw his lance or jump towards you if he has his sword out. In both of these cases, he does not get iframes. Anyway, here's a hot tip that will actually help you the entire game. The amount of ATB you spend on a command determines how much poise your character has. For example, if Barret spends 1 ATB on Maximum Fury, Odin's Reprisal will knock him away. However, if you spend 2 ATB, the spear will go right through him and he'll keep shooting. This works for spells too. Have Aerith put down her Radiant Ward and cast a Gatyr elemental spell. Odin will reprisal. Aerith will not get interrupted because she spent 2 ATBs on the spell. She will not take damage because she is casting a spell inside the Radiant Ward. And Odin will take a fireball to the face. And then another one because you're very smart and you also stacked Arcane Ward on the ground. By the way, everyone becomes immune to damage while casting spells in the Radiant Ward, not just Aerith. When Odin gets at 1/4 health, he casts Temporal Imprisonment on whichever character you happen to be controlling at that time. This is a stop status effect that cannot be prevented or removed. That's what that yellow border means, by the way. If a status effect has that yellow border around it, that means you cannot do anything to remove it or prevent it. There is a way to avoid it, though. Use a limit break just before the spell is about to go off. During a limit break animation, you are invulnerable to damage and immune to all status effects. And there you go, you know everything you need to know to defeat Odin. I hope this guide has been helpful.